It is my great joy to come to you through our online channels today. I want to talk to us about rekindling our passion for the lost souls. God called a prophet called Jonah, and I would like to read the first chapter of Jonah, the few verses at the beginning. The Bible says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it." I like the other version that says, "Arise and go." This is our month where we are emphasizing on going evangelism, and it's a movement that runs across Africa. Go month, and it is our responsibility as believers to go as Jesus Christ himself commanded us. Go and make disciples of all nations. All right, we may not be able to go to other nations, as it were, but we can go to our neighbor next door. So God speaks to Jonah and commands him to go to Nineveh. And the Bible says, "Go to this great city and preach against it, because its wickedness has come before me." But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa. He found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. So Jonah receives a command from God to go to a city and go and bring people back to God. They were wicked people. They were wicked people. And you know, many of us, we assume that those that are wicked, what they deserve is not mercy, but the punishment from God. Whenever and whatever time you see wickedness flourishing in your city, you should know that God is nudging at your heart. God is speaking to you. God is telling you that you need to do something about that wickedness. Yes, Nineveh was a wicked city, but they needed a prophet. They needed a witness. They needed somebody to go to them and talk to them about God. You see, God is calling us as a church, and not only in the Deliverance Church Langata as a family, but the church in general. God is calling us to arise and go and evangelize the lost. Arising, just that action of arising is the first step in obeying the command of God to go. Arise, go. Arise, go. That is the first step. Any response or arising that doesn't take us to the mission field, that doesn't take us to the lost souls, that doesn't take us to the people that need the gospel, takes us down. The Bible says he went down to Joppa. Instead of going to where God had said him, Jonah went to another place. And the Bible says he went down. So when we choose not to go where God has commanded us to go, we begin to go down. A church that is not evangelizing, unbeliever that is not evangelizing, is unbeliever that is going down. A church that is not evangelizing is a church that is going down. A church that has no passion for the lost is a church that whose destiny is doomed, is a dying church. Jonah went down to Joppa. And the Bible says, even when he got into the ship and paid the fare, he also went down to the lowest part of the ship And the Bible continued to say, and he lay down. So he was going down, 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 down. And one thing that really touches me is even when the sailors came and woke him up, instead of owning up and saying, okay, let me now obey the voice of the Lord, he says, okay, throw me further down. He says, throw me further down, throw me into the sea. I'm better die than obey God. I don't know what God is asking you to do and where God is asking you to go. But you need to obey the voice of the Lord. Paul was told of God and of Jesus, it is hard for you to kick against the pricks. You cannot win against the Lord. You cannot win against the Lord. And let us therefore arise and become a people that witness, a people that speak to others about Jesus Christ, so that destinies of nations and of cities may be changed. Our nation can be changed if we are willing to go and declare the gospel. And so it is critical for us to obey and walk the talk. Go where God is asking us to go. Go to the lost souls of the unreached people groups. Go to our neighbors near us. Tell them the story of Jesus. Tell them what Jesus has done in your life. Tell them the grace, about the grace and the mercies of God. Have you experienced the grace of God? Have you experienced the mercy of God? If you have, then you have a responsibility to talk about it to those that are around you. There's a singer that has sung. This song is usually sung by Sunday school children most of the time, but it is not a Sunday school song. It says, tell me the story of Jesus. I love to hear. Tell me the story of Jesus. I love to hear. It's a story, it's a wonderful story. When we forget the story of our salvation, when we forget where God has taken us from, we do not have the excitement, the passion to talk to people and to tell them about Jesus. So I'm appealing to you today, by the mercies of God and by the grace of God, arise, as Jonah was told, go to Nineveh. Arise, go, the world is waiting. Your people are waiting. Your friends are waiting. Your brothers and sisters are waiting. Your community is waiting. Kenya is waiting. Africa is waiting. The world is our mission field. The world is waiting. It is you. It is you that God is calling to reach out to the lost. Even if you do it to the next door neighbor, you have begun the journey. Speak, tell the story of Jesus.